What's going on, guys? So in this video I want to quickly talk about marijuana, my experience with it, and what I think about it in terms of enhancing your life. So to give you a bit of background, I used to smoke quite a bit when I was a teenager, like in high school, and yeah, it was not really the best experience overall. I did it because it was kind of what every teenager did at the time, and basically there was like this very compelling image, like a romanticized image of weed when I was a teenager, and you could see it through all the music videos, and you could see it through all, like, I was looking up a lot of stuff on weed at the time, on YouTube, and there's so many like videos and documentaries, and everything is so pro weed and how great it is and how it's this miracle plant and blah blah blah. So I really bought into that image, and it's funny how sometimes I've been noticing this a lot, but we buy into the image of something rather than the reality of it. And this also happens for things like relationships, where men might buy into an image of what it means or what a certain woman is or whatever, and then they get into a relationship and then they're confused as to why it's not panning out to be that way. And I think the same could be said for the military. A lot of guys think they're going to go in and they're going to be, this commando and blah blah blah, and they're going to be a hero, but then they go in and it's a totally different experience. This is what a lot of military people have told me, actually, that it's not what you expect it to be. It's just a job, and a lot of people get traumatized because there's a million reasons for it, but namely, it just isn't what they thought it would be, and the reality and intensity of it hurts them bad because they didn't expect it and they just weren't psychologically prepared for it. So yeah, and I think that the same thing happened with weed. For a lot of people, including myself, we have this image about it in our heads where it's like this romantic vision of like, oh, I'm going to smoke a joint and it's going to be all fine and dandy, and I'm going to lay back and relax and have a great conversation with the people around me, and it's going to be just wonderful, just at ease and mellowed out and friendly. And I think that this is a reality for some people. I was listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan and Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson was saying how weed makes him feel a lot more mellow and friendly and this and that. Okay, but let's put this into perspective. Just because Mike Tyson is saying this, does that mean it's going to be exactly the same for you? Well, let's analyze the situation. Mike Tyson is a former world champion. He was extremely ambitious, extremely driven. I think he went bankrupt at one point recently, or at least lost a lot of his money. But he still has a couple $1 million, I think, net worth. So he's highly accomplished, highly successful. His name will not be forgotten for many, many generations to come. He's accomplished a lot. So we're not talking about just anybody here, and then on top of that, Mike Tyson is a highly aggressive, highly egomaniac kind of person, and once you get to that level of competition, it's hard to turn off. He even said that he stopped working out because it activates his ego too much, and he gets too just neurotic about it. So for people like that, that are highly accomplished, highly successful, and highly egotistical, maybe it does help them a little bit, okay? And maybe he has the neurochemistry to cope with the effects of weed. But you see the difference there? We're not talking about you and I. For example, I'm a 23-year-old that is still in the beginning stages of his life, building his life, learning new skills and building up a work ethic, essentially, getting over some past issues and things like that, and really building a strong foundation for my own character. And I'm going through all these changes now. Am I really in a position where marijuana is going to impact me the exact same way it might mellow out Tyson? I don't think so. I think I need the opposite. I think I need to be more driven, more egomaniacal, even though I shouldn't say it that way, but I need to develop a stronger character and all these different things. And there's a thin line, right, between being a bit of an ego kind of arrogant person and also somebody who's driven and like ambitious. Some of those things intersect, but so yeah, it's not the same. Like, just because it might work for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And I'm just trying to dispel the image of weed here. That's why I'm saying these examples. Because if you're somebody that still has this romantic notion of how weed is supposed to make you feel, well, I'm here to dispel that. Because in my experience, and here's where I'll get into my experience a bit more in detail. But yeah, in my experience, it kills your ambition. It kills your fucking drive. It makes you feel extremely vulnerable to the point, and I think Gavin McInnes he said it really funny. He said it best when he was like, if you're with your girl walking back home at 3 a.m. and some guy comes out of the bushes trying to fucking attack you, if you're on weed, you're gonna have liquid fucking diarrhea. Like, you're gonna be so scared and you're gonna be all vulnerable and like, oh, like you're not present, strong, and ready when you're on weed most of the time. Okay, not everybody, like I said, may have the exact same effect, but in my experience, it definitely makes you kind of like, a little deflated and a little tired and a little, vulnerable kind of. And when I say vulnerable, I mean it's because you're so like chill and like it's almost like too chill. You're like, ugh, like I feel just drowsy and even the uppity strains, supposedly uppity strains, like I still feel kind of like just not ready to go. I'm not on the edge, So yeah, in my experience, it definitely does that to you. It makes you overthink everything, so you can't even enjoy the trip. So if you're kind of anxious, I'm a bit of an anxious person, due to my, I don't know, conditioning or childhood or whatever, but I've always had kind of a heightened degree of anxiety that I've had to deal with over the past few years through meditation and things like that. And I've gotten a good grip over it now. But when I'm on weed, it like quadruples any kind of baseline anxiety I was having. So it doesn't make me less anxious. It makes me more anxious. And another thing is that in my experience, weed makes me, like, my mind get super scattered. So instead of being focused like I usually am and seeing reality in a more neatly organized way, it scatters everything up. And I guess that's why people say that, oh, it gives me creativity and stuff. But to me, that's, yeah, maybe there's a few creative moments during a weed experience, but for the most part, it's really unsatisfying because you're not seeing reality correctly. You're seeing reality through some just messed up. It's like a milkshake in your head, and you're not really, you're just not being accurate with your judgments and assessments and things like that. And like I said, sometimes it does kind of give you some interesting insights, but where do we draw the line? Where do we go, okay, the risks outweigh the benefits? And, then weed can enhance, sensual experiences and things like that to some extent, as well as food and sex, and weed can definitely be enhanced by a bit, but it's still not really all that great. I don't think it's really worth it, honestly. So once again, that is my verdict on weed. Should it be legalized? Absolutely. I don't think we should be like children, told what we can and can't do. But I think that that's not even my issue. My issue is, what the fuck? Okay, so it should be legalized, but just because it's legal doesn't mean it should be the next new thing that everybody does. Like, porn should be legal. Should you do it? Absolutely not. Alcohol, should it be legal? Absolutely. Should you do it every day? No. Should you do it even every week? Probably not. Every month? Maybe once a month. Should junk food be legal? Absolutely. Should you do it? Very rarely. How about guns? Should you use them all the time? If you're being robbed. Otherwise, they should stay in a safe spot. So legalization has nothing to do with my point. My point is, it's not this romantic, beautiful thing. It's not this great thing. It's not. It sucks if you don't have the system for it. It really does not increase your happiness, your joy, your productivity. I think it kills your drive and causes a lot of anxiety. And I'm saying this with a bit of, maybe I'm a bit hard driving on this point because I recently did it, and every time I did it, past couple times, has just been the same exact thing repeating over and over, just this negative feeling like I'm in an ordeal now, and this is going to suck for the next few hours, and my thoughts just go crazy, and it just sucks. So, yeah, I think I'm done with it for quite some time at least, and let me know what you guys think, and don't buy into the romantic notion that it's this miracle drug. That's my main point. All right, guys. Peace.